Hey, welcome to the Publish, Promote, Profit podcast with me, Rob Kosberg. Every week, I interview thought leaders and experts who have used a book to grow their income and their impact. So tune in weekly for these interviews so you can learn how to use your own best-selling book and go from hunting for clients and opportunities to instead being the hunted. All right. Hey, welcome everybody. It's Rob Kosberg here. Super excited to bring you another episode of the Publish, Promote, Profit podcast. I got a great guest I think you're really going to enjoy today that really intrigued me because we were messaging back and forth and he was telling me how his book is bringing him in over $1 million a year of new business. This Rodney Koop, he's the president and founder of The New Flat Rate. His book is best-selling book is Why Won't They Pay Me What I'm Worth? Rodney, super great to have you here. Thanks for taking the time to be with us on the podcast and tell us your magic.
Oh, I'm glad to be here too. Always glad to tell my story in any way that you want to hear it, or that will help other people.
Yeah, love it. It looks like you're in your workshop. You're, Rodney, you work in the home services business, HVAC, plumbing, air, that sort of thing, which looks like you're exactly living that in your workshop there, which is fantastic. I love that you run your business. You've been doing this for 40 years, 30 years as a business owner. Talk to me, first, describe a little bit about what the New Flat Rate is. Describe to me what your business is, and then let's talk about how your book is kind of making it rain for you in your business.
Cool. I had a problem as a contractor. It seems like I've been a contractor all my life. And that problem was that no matter how educated, no matter how experienced, it's like no matter what I brought to the table, if I was in front of a consumer, somebody who needed electrical work or whatever, there would always be a pricing discussion. And it just kind of drove me bananas because I knew how much talent, skill, knowledge, wisdom, experience, ambition, and tender loving care I brought to the table.
Right.
And I knew they weren't going to get that from any place else.
Right.
Yet they still thought of me as a commodity. They still thought of me only by the price. It was always about price. And I began to realize that it's always about price until you make it about something else. And so in order to solve my problem, the desperation of this customer interaction, where they don't understand, know, and appreciate who I am and what I'm about to do for them, we created a menu pricing system. I looked at retail. I looked at Ford Motor Company. I looked at McDonald's, Lowe's, Home Depot. And I started to spend hours and hours studying how people buy. I wanted to see the mentality. What's happening when they look at 100 kitchen faucets? Center down to about 5 of them. Look left, right, up, down, touch 1 or 2, put 1 in the basket.
Yeah.
15, 20 seconds. And so we created a company called The New Flat Rate, which is basically a menu. We create menu pricing for heating, air, electric, chimney sweeps, pest control, and several industries. And what it does is it gives a menu for any service at all, whether they need a part for their faucet or their water heater or their air conditioner, or whether they need a new breaker box, a new generator, a whole new heating and air system.
Right.
So we've created thousands and thousands of menus. So the service technician just has to diagnose, choose the appropriate menu, show it to the customer with a very simple script. The customer chooses. The service tech is always only the hero, never the antagonist, never the bad guy. There's the choices. And when the customer says, tell me about that one, then the service tech just says, that's a good choice. What do you like about it?
Yeah.
Customer doesn't really know. But it fits them. And when they say, that's what I want, then the service tech takes it away. Are you sure? Because I don't think you looked at my other options. They say, no, that's what I want. Okay. So the end result is, number one, never, ever a pricing objection. It's just gone. Number two, no sales resistance. Customer, it just never comes up. And number three, no buyer's remorse. No Google slapping, no phone call saying you ripped me off, you sold, my grandmother, you sold her this. It's all gone.
Nice.
So that's what we did. Part of the reason it's successful, my daughter is actually the president of the company. I'm the CEO and founder. So she has ran the company since day one. My son is our national training director. He orchestrates our training. Our productivity. And I often say, just to be clear, this was my idea. Okay. I wrote the first menu. My son wrote the next 3,000.
Hey, fair enough. I mean, somebody had to be the pioneer. Right. You were clearly the pioneer. Well done, Rodney. Mm-hmm. Now, you've told me, I mean, your company's done very, very well. It's grown, it's been on fire. You're in all 50 states. You're in Canada. And primarily this is what, HVAC, plumbing, electrical, things like that, where someone is going into the home and instead of now worrying about a negotiation or somebody feeling like this is a negotiation, it's a very simple way to buy that removes all those objections. Is that right?
Yeah, it absolutely is. And the best example is when you and I were younger, Rob, a car wash was 4 quarters if you're really good.
Yeah.
Maybe 8 quarters if you wanted to really get into detail. Well, now the drive-through car washes, they show you a menu. And 10 years ago, 12 years ago, when the menus first became popular in car washes, they started down here anywhere from $2 to $5. And then the top option might be $10 to $12. That was common for a while. Then it moved up and up. I actually went into a drive-in car wash here in town about 3 weeks ago. The bottom option was like $12 and the top was like $28.
Right.
So it's the same car wash, but you will pay more for a rainbow soap. You just will.
Well, of course you will. I love my cars, so I've got to take care of my cars with the rainbow soap. I love that. That
definitely worked. But the reason for the book, everybody wants to tell their story, I think. I think that you know that better than anybody.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to tell their story. If they find something that works and changes things, then it's an exciting story. We went from creating menu pricing books in 2011 to, I suppose, about 5 years ago, going all digital. Now it's all app-based. And our app is used right at 30,000 times a week.
Wow.
So it's very, very successful. And it's changed lives because the average client for us has an increase of $150,000 per service truck per year.
Wow.
In high gross margin business.
Wow. That is tremendous. And they're their hero.
Right. So we write the book. Yeah, right. So the book tells the story, but why did we write the book? We like to tell the story, but the story is the marketing. So as you would say, instead of giving them a business card, you give them something it's just, even if they don't read it, it's just way more memorable, gives you a certain level of credibility, and maybe gets you into the door and invited to speak. And so I think last year I had about 20 articles published in magazines. And it's funny, I think I worked 15 years to get an article published in a magazine. And now my kids get asked for articles in magazines. So it's transferred generations.
Beautiful.
But here's how we use the book. If we're at a live event, of course, we can have a stack of books there. And we found that we don't just leave them out. We keep them behind us sort of. And then we talk to people, then we can give them a book. It seems to carry more value. But people like that. But we also do miniature books that'll fit in their pocket if we're at a trade show or something, simply because of the obvious. If something's bulky or something, they'll lay it down when they're walking around.
Interesting.
Although I don't see many
heard that. So what do you do there? How do you create the mini book? Give me some details about that.
We just take sections. We would just take sections of the book. Like chapter 2 in my book is called The Ferris Wheel. And so we might just print that just right in the office in our printer, print it into a mini book with a cute little cover. That'll, as long as it fits in a pocket, as long as they can slide it into a pocket, at some point that book will make it back.
Yeah.
But here's what we do with most of the books go out, because in our marketing, we're collecting contact information, emails, et cetera, et cetera. So when a prospect trips a wire, shows interest in our products or services, they're going to get 7 touches. It turns on some kind of a thing where they're going to get 7 touches. The first one is going to be, we're going to send them my book. They're going to get the book.
By the way, my dog Bob is saying hi to you.
Okay, Bob.
Sorry. Go back to the 7 touches. That's important stuff.
Okay, so they're going to get the book right away. Now, when you send somebody something, especially if it's lumpy mail, they're going to open it. They're at least going to look at it. That way, they'll take your call or they'll look at your next email or something. When you get that touch with the customer, it creates some sort of a mental bond. Oh, gee, this is a nice thing. Now you can call them and you're not a telemarketer. Now you're just a person asking a question. Hey, I just wanted to know, did you get that book? I didn't know if the post office delivered it. Oh, yeah, I got it. Oh, great. Hey, you need to check out page 32, or you need to check out this or that.
Love it. Okay.
So that's an easy touch without any pressure, without any telemarketer. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You're just a friend asking a question.
Yeah.
Okay, then they're automatically going to get probably another email, an article, podcast, this or that, something. And then everything is going to have a call to action where they can call or click for a live face-to-face, either a demo or another thing that we do that's become, it's worked pretty well. We call it Coffee with Rodney. So they can do a demo with one of our sales team, or if they just want to talk to a contractor, just contractor to contractor. Let's just talk about, your hopes and dreams and what's driving you bananas. You just want to talk to Rodney. He's in his wood shop. And so I'll take what we call CWR, Coffee with Rodney calls. But so then they're going to get some more lumpy mail. We might send them a coffee cup or something, but they're going to get 7 things from us working up to getting a live demo. So we've got the pre-demo phase. There's going to be 7 touches. Then there's going to be the live demo. And then there's 7 more touches that's going to call post-demo. And I don't even know what all that stuff is. But the point is,
someone does. Someone in your company needs to. You're the founder and CEO. You don't need to worry about that.
That's right.
You wrote that first menu, Rodney. You don't need to worry about the rest of it.
That's exactly right. That's right. So that's how we use the book. And I think it's fair to say I don't use it enough as far as the idea. Like I told you, I write a lot of articles for magazines. I don't always put in the bio, best-selling author. I should. That should be in every tagline I do. I should take advantage of that.
Good. I mean, that's a simple thing. Yeah. You mentioned to me, Rodney, you are sending out about 1,000 books a year. So that's representative of 1,000 potential customers that you would get, that lead to a phone call, a demo, the follow-up sequence. What is an average customer worth to your company, lifetime value approximately, would you say?
That's a good question. And I believe in looking at lifetime value, but I don't know that I've really done that too much with our customers. First year value is right at 10 to 12,000 on average.
Awesome.
So,
and they stay with you a number of years, I would assume.
We're just looking at the list here this week. We organized our member base by the years. And so we started in 2011. So the first customers that we have on our list are from 2012. So we've got groups from all of the years. And a lot of them stay with us. Sometimes they sell their company. They have turnover or different reasons, but boy, they should stay because
they're making money.
Rob, we're at $2 billion in new revenue for our clients.
Wow.
$2 billion.
Wow.
So we're very proud of that because that's money infused into companies, a lot of them who were struggling when they met us. Yeah. So we're very proud of that.
Congratulations. I love it. I mean, simple math. A lot of people think about or hear about a best-selling author giving away their book and they bristle at that. They think that's not a good idea. Whereas honestly, it is a fantastic idea. Obviously, especially if you're in a business where an average client is worth, 5 figures. In your case, it may be worth mid-5 figures or even 6 figures if they stay with you for 4, 5, 6 years. And so, even worst case scenario, they stay with you 1 year. You have a client that's worth $10,000 or $12,000. Yes, sending out 1,000 books will probably cost you about $5,000 in a year. But one client, you double your revenue. Just one client out of the 1,000. And as you told me, you're generating 7 figures a year from this simple process. So I really hope people are listening and seeing how they should be using their book with a follow-up sequence, not just sending their book. I spoke to a BSP client just the other day, and he told me, first time I ever heard this, he said, hey, I did what you said, I did your system, and it didn't work. And I said, you mean you got the list, you sent books out and nothing? Goes, yes. And I said, well, tell me, what was the follow-up like? What were the telephone calls like that? And he goes, follow-up? What follow-up? What telephone calls? I'm like, you didn't watch the whole video then. I mean, the book positions you, but you still need a follow-up sequence. And yours, of course, is very detailed, which I love. So congratulations on that.
Hey, you know what? In 1980, before you were born, probably.
No.
I sold cars for a year in North Dakota. And I developed this mentality that said, when somebody comes in to look at a car, of course, the research at that time was that 65%, give or take, of the people who walk in a dealership and look at a car will buy a car within 3 days.
Wow. It's
such a big deal for them to get up the guts, let's say, to actually walk in and talk face to face with a salesman in a car dealership, that they don't do it until they're serious. I've studied as a Ford Motor Company for over 40 years. I've actually test driven and personally talked to car salesmen over 300 times.
Wow.
I always planned to write a book on car selling or on selling cars, and I never got around to that. But recently, I went to an auto dealers conference in Los Angeles, and I asked a group of auto dealers, I told them, I said, well, back in the 80s, over 60% of people that walked into a dealership would buy a car within 3 days. They said it's the same today.
No kidding.
Isn't that something?
Amazing.
So that means that is an on-fire prospect.
Yeah.
You can't let them out the door. So here was my mentality in 1980. I would talk to somebody, we would test drive, and boy, no matter what the car or truck, I had a special test drive course just for that vehicle. And that would really shine whatever that vehicle was good at. That's another story. But if they left without buying, which was not uncommon, my process for follow-up was this. Number one, never call a prospect back without new information.
Good.
So it was always like this. Joe, hey, this is Rodney down here at Bob Sellers Dodge. I am so sorry. I'm so glad you came and drove the 280Z, but I'm so sorry. I forgot to tell you how accurate that gas gauge is. Did you know that when it goes down and it says E, that you've got exactly 12 miles? It's accurate to within a glass of gas. And so you always had to have new information.
Right.
So if you send somebody a book, it's the perfect opportunity. You give them time to get the book. Whether they open it, read it or not, then you call them and you say, hey, Joe, hey, this is Rodney. Have I caught you at a bad time? I am so sorry. You always start with that. I'm so sorry. I forgot to tell you what's on page 32. I almost feel like I wrote it just for you.
That's
you see what I mean? Now you've reinstituted the relationship.
Yeah.
You've added curiosity. You've added a feeling of I just did something just for you.
Yeah.
And it, more cements the bond.
I love it.
So a book is the perfect thing to do that, because you never have to be afraid. Here's a good statement. You never have to be afraid of calling somebody who has your book.
Yes, that's right. That's exactly right. You're the author. You wrote the book on it.
I'd take a call from John Grisham today.
I'll let him know.
Yeah, you do that.
Oh, Rodney, This is fantastic. Thank you so much. Thanks for your time. Tell me, where can people learn more about what you do? Maybe get your book. Of course, they can get your book on Amazon, but let's give them some links to where they can get some info directly on you.
Yeah, of course they can go to Amazon. I'll make $2 or $3. That'd be great. But anybody who shows interest, they can just go to thenewflatrate.com. But we've made it even simpler, menupricing.com.
Good.
If they just go to menupricing.com, they'll learn all about us. And by the way, anybody can call me and talk to me anytime, just like you and just like our good friend, John Grisham.
Awesome. Rodney, great to have you. Thanks so much. I love what you're doing with your book. Congratulations on all your success with it. Obviously, keep it up. When you're ready to write that book on selling cars, let me know. I'll help you with it.
All right. I appreciate it.
Talk to you soon, my friend.
All right. Bye-bye.